Indonesia is entering one of the most significant military modernization cycles in its history. New fighter jets, new naval assets, and a series of ambitious procurement plans reflect a nation striving to redefine its position in Southeast Asia. Yet, behind this impressive momentum lies a critical vulnerability, one that is rarely discussed outside specialist circles, but fundamentally shapes the effectiveness of every advanced weapons system the country acquires. Indonesia still does not operate an airborne early warning and control aircraft, leaving the country without the eyes and command and control backbone that modern air power requires. In a region where Singapore, Australia, and China already deploy mature airborne early warning capabilities, Indonesia remains at a strategic disadvantage that will widen if not addressed quickly. Airborne early warning and control platforms are not simply radar aircraft. They provide real-time situational awareness, battle management, airspace coordination, and far beyond horizon detection that no ground-based system can match. For a dispersed archipelagic nation with vast airspace, maritime choke points, and contested regions such as Natuna, the absence of an airborne early warning platform is not a technical omission, but a structural weakness. Indonesia's geography alone justifies urgent investment. Thousands of islands, complex terrain, and fractured radar coverage make it impossible for ground radars to form a continuous integrated picture. When radar performance is degraded by curvature, weather, or terrain masking, the entire air defense network loses coherence. An airborne early warning platform overcomes these limitations by operating above them, knitting together a real-time operational picture across air, land, and sea. Despite approvals to procure 2 airborne early warning aircraft, Indonesia has yet to receive or publicly confirm any platform in active service. The gap between political approval and operational delivery remains significant. Technical specifications, radar type, mission systems, and even the airframe to be used have not been disclosed in detail. This differs sharply from Indonesia's transparent communication on major fighter programs such as the Rafale or the F-15ID. The opacity around the airborne early warning effort creates uncertainty about timelines, funding, and strategic direction. One major factor behind the delay is budget pressure. Indonesia is modernizing across multiple domains at once: fighter jets from Europe, China, and the United States, new naval surface combatants, new submarines, upgraded air defense systems, and a variety of indigenous platforms. Each program consumes substantial resources for procurement and long-term sustainment. In parallel, the country faces social spending pressures, inflation, and domestic political tensions that make large military expenditures sensitive to public scrutiny. Airborne early warning aircraft are expensive not only to purchase but to operate, requiring highly trained crews, mission specialists, maintenance infrastructure, and continuous data link integration across the services. In a multi-project modernization effort, airborne early warning capability becomes a victim of competing priorities. Yet the cost of inaction is far greater. Without airborne early warning support, Indonesia's new fighters cannot reach their full combat potential. Whether flying Rafale, J-10C, or the future F-15ID, pilots depend on beyond visual range targeting supported by a common operational picture. In modern air combat, the platform with superior situational awareness usually prevails long before missiles are launched. Relying solely on ground radars places Indonesia at a systemic disadvantage because detection ranges, tracking angles, and low-altitude coverage gaps cannot be compensated for by pilot skill or aircraft technology. Indonesian fighters would enter engagements partially blind, while regional competitors equipped with airborne early warning systems could dictate the terms of battle. The disadvantages extend to maritime operations. Indonesia's naval forces patrol vast areas in the Natuna Sea, the Java Sea, and the approaches to the Malacca Strait. Maritime domain awareness depends heavily on early detection of unidentified air and surface movements. Without an airborne early warning network linking the Navy and Air Force, Indonesia cannot maintain continuous layered surveillance across these regions. This gap becomes especially concerning when considering the increasing presence of foreign vessels and aircraft around the Natuna area. Airborne early warning coverage is not merely a military asset, but a sovereignty tool. Public sentiment inside Indonesia reflects a mix of national pride, cautious optimism, and financial concern. Many citizens are proud of the modernization efforts and want to see Indonesia rise as a respected regional force. At the same time, economic challenges, high living costs, and recent social unrest lead a significant portion of the population to question whether large defense investments are affordable or timely. Airborne early warning programs, being expensive and technically complex, are harder to justify to audiences that may not see immediate, visible results. This contributes to limited public discussion compared to more glamorous acquisitions like fighter jets or frigates. The risk is that Indonesia becomes a heavily armed but operationally incoherent force. Modernization without system integration leads to what analysts call a half-power paradox, owning advanced tools but lacking the network to use them effectively. In an air defense scenario, Indonesia would have modern fighters, long-range missiles, and advanced radars, but no airborne command structure to tie them together. The country could spend billions of United States dollars upgrading hardware while remaining strategically exposed to surprise incursions or rapid regional escalations. If Indonesia does not field an airborne early warning capability within the next decade, several outcomes become likely. The capability gap with Singapore and Australia will widen significantly as both countries advance toward next-generation airborne early warning solutions. China's continued deployment of KJ-500 aircraft in the South China Sea will further erode Indonesia's relative situational awareness near contested waters. Indonesian pilots flying cutting-edge aircraft will continue to rely on limited ground-based information, restricting their ability to respond to rapid changes in airspace conditions. In a crisis, Indonesia could face delays in threat identification, slower command cycles, and reduced effectiveness in joint naval air operations. A more sustainable path forward requires Indonesia to prioritize airborne early warning capability as a foundational requirement rather than a supplementary one. The country can begin with a modest fleet of 1 or 2 aircraft, but must ensure they integrate fully with existing radars, naval assets, and fighter squadrons. Investments in human capital are equally critical. Mission crew training, data link specialists, and multi-domain command coordination should be treated as strategic projects. Reducing platform diversity across the armed forces would also ease maintenance burdens and free resources for airborne early warning sustainment. By 2035, Indonesia should aim to achieve operational autonomy in early warning and battle management, rather than relying solely on static radars or allied intelligence. Indonesia's rise as a regional air and maritime power will depend not only on the fighters it buys or the ships it commissions, but but on its ability to see, understand, and manage the battle space. Airborne early warning capability is the missing element that determines whether Indonesia becomes a fully integrated regional force or remains limited by fragmented situational awareness. The window for building this capability is open today, but it will narrow as regional competitors accelerate their modernization plans. For Indonesia, overcoming this vulnerability is not just a military requirement, but a national imperative rooted in geography, sovereignty, and long-term strategic stability.